So I've been thinking about taxes, which I've always been against, and I've been against taxes, especially income tax, because, not only am I a libertarian, but the basic roots of taxation on your labor is slavery. If anybody owns a part of your labor, part of your income, you're a slave. That's just the definition, if you look it up, of slavery. So I don't agree with it on that basis. Maybe there should be a consumption tax, maybe because of roads and bridges and utilities and government assistance of trade and markets. There should be some sort of consumption tax, but I don't believe in income tax. I think it's slavery. But people keep suggesting that, people like Elon Musk, who paid something like $5.5 billion in taxes last year, aren't paying their fair share of taxes. The lower 50% of income earners paid a negative 9% income tax in the U.S. Me being one of them, I got back more than I paid in, like most people in my bracket do. I'm not a very high income earner anymore, but I've always gotten more back than I've paid in. It's always the wealthy that pay. I think the top 10% pay 90% of all income taxes collected. But if we were to take all 813 billionaires' entire wealth, all of their wealth, it would equal $6.72 trillion. There's 813 billionaires in the U.S. Their wealth is worth $6.72 trillion. And the U.S. budget is $6.9 trillion a year. So that's not even a full year's worth of budgeting for our government, for our expenses. So if I just looked it up, let's see, what is the U.S. government expenses per year? So that is 6.9 trillion, and I don't believe that includes our interest on debt, or whatever $37 trillion debt that we've got. We pay over $1 trillion a year in interest on that debt. So I think that what Elon Musk and Trump and the Trump administration are doing with auditing and removing expenses, unnecessary expenses from our government, is a good thing. I mean, they gave $20 million to Guatemala to create a transgender or LGBT comic book. They paid for, just some of the most ridiculous stuff. I think they did the same thing or something similar in Belarus. In countries that aren't even our country, they're giving money through that USAID for all sorts of LGBT functions and propaganda. And that's just some of the stupid expenses that they've made. They've cut over $1 billion in stupid expenses from USAID just in the last month. I think them auditing or even closing down the U.S. Department of Education, this is something I said long before Trump. This is something I've always sided with Ron Paul on. But if they cut the expenses from the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education, and give the money back to the states, we've seen how that works. Before 1980, we had top scores in the U.S., in national or in international rankings. Now we have the lowest scores in international rankings, and we pay more per student than any other country. Our budget for the Department of Education is 500% more than it was in 1980, and our population has only grown 49%. So there's no justification for it, nor is there any better results. So, it's common sense, it's logic. We cut the budget of these insane departments of the federal government, and we cut this, it's nothing less than money laundering. 97% of the money given by USAID was given to liberal Democrats. And so they're just boosting their friends' income by millions of dollars for stupid things like a LGBT comic book in Guatemala. It's just crazy. They did a LGBT opera in Ireland. They gave millions of dollars for. It's just insane what they've spent money on. And I totally agree with the Trump administration cutting expenses rather than stealing the wealth from people. If we stole all the wealth from all the billionaires, that's not even 1 year's government function, like government expense in the federal government. That wouldn't even run our government for a full year if we took all of the billionaires' wealth, all of it, and paid our bills with it. It wouldn't even cover that. And then we wouldn't have any industry. We wouldn't be competitive in the world market. We wouldn't have people